If you had to describe TrekK in one word, what would that be?
Amazing.
Difficult.
Understanding.
A word to describe TrekK is rewarding.
Spiritual.
One word to describe TrekK would be joy.
Comfort.
Challenging.
Difficult.
Hard. Unique. It was a unique experience.
Challenging.
Mormon.
Persevere.
TrekK was pretty awesome.
Exhausting.
Challenging.
Tiring.
Breathtaking.
Inspiring. Challenging.
Unnecessary.
Fulfilling. Painful. Spiritual.
Arduously rewarding.
Cool, but never again.
Hot.
Tired.
Exhausting.
Painful.
Uplifting.
Experiencing.
Hard.
TrekK was definitely a convivial experience. Hard.
Awesome.
An adventure.
Sabbatical. Amazing. Spiritual.
Inspirational. To me, TrekK was strengthening.
Unifying.
Fulfilling.
Spiritual.
Hard. Cool. Painful. Tiring. Fun. Rewarding.
New.
TrekK was exciting.
Interesting.
Grateful. Fun.
Oh, fabulous.
Worthwhile.
Difficult. Exhausting.
Handcart. Amazing.
Challenging. Eye-opening. It's very spiritual.
Worth it or experience, just an experience.
I say TrekK was worthwhile.
Fun. TrekK in one word was amazing. Eye-opening. TrekK was empowering.
It's kind of hard. I think just amazing overall. It was great. I loved it.
Say testing.
Empowering.
Humbling.
Insanely awesome.
Spiritual.
Exhaustingly fun.
Accomplishment.
A very spiritual experience.
TrekK in one word.
Fun. Difficult. Uplifting.
Challenging.
Rewarding.
Heritage.
Enlightening.
Challenging.
Strengthening. Beauty.
Empathy.
Inspiring.
TrekK was awesome. Interesting. Extreme.
Enduring.
Family.
Tiring.
Challenging.
Fun. Fantastic.
Inspiring. Enduring. Eye-opening.
Fun.
Important.
I'll be glad to go on again.
I think for me, the best experience was that I'm not afraid of teenagers anymore. It was so great to be able to go and watch these kids rally around each other and just show up in such a way that was inspiring and awesome. And it gave me hope that my own kids are gonna be okay, because these kids were so awesome. I loved being with them and still think about them and pray for them often, because they're great, good, and special kids.
We were definitely blessed with a great group of kids that I was surprised at how quickly we bonded and connected to them, as we didn't know who they were prior to going to this conference. We found out that morning, and we tried to memorize their names as quickly as possible and get to know, to feel their spirit. And as we met in the morning, it was a neat experience to just share a spiritual thought with them, and then come together as a group trying to come up with an identity for our family. And it was amazing how quickly that came through working together to build our flag, and seeing each point from a couple different kids and their thoughts and ideas, and how we worked together to build what I still feel is a very great family flag that represents what we wanted to embody as a family, choosing the right and fighting for obedience and doing good things together. It was so neat for me to start off with a strong foundation, building together from that morning that carried all the way through the end of that activity on that Saturday. So it was neat, and it started off on the right foot and built from there.
For me, I realized that I can do really hard things and that I can take a group of kids that I don't know and that they don't know me, and we can bond together because we're all children of our Heavenly Father. And I loved watching them come together and trust me. They don't know me, but they trusted me and they respected me and I respected them, and we bonded so close. I still see them today and they run up and give me a hug, and I love that they call me Ma, and they're like, "Can we call you Ma forever?" And I said, "Yes, of course." So for me, I learned that I can love other people's kids almost as much as I can love my own, and it was a great experience.
Right. Well, I can love other people's kids more than my own because I can send them back to their parents. But I learned that I can be patient and loving and kind no matter what the circumstance is, if I want to be. And I really found that with these kids because everyone was different. Everyone comes from a different background and different family situations, and I was able to be their pa, and just love them for who they were, and find their strengths and reach out for what they could do in the family, and show the best way that they could help the family. And I think that kind of helped them to know what they're capable of.
We looked at each other and we're like, wow, this is like way harder than we thought it was going to be. Like just really, really hard, really rough. And the kids were incredible, like absolutely incredible. And my takeaway was that the church is in good hands with the youth of the church because they were strong, they were happy, they didn't, complain. And that was, during the women's poll, and then also when we got the young men with us, like you have a whole bunch of kids from different backgrounds, different wards, different time that they've been in the church. We had a few kids in our family that are, newer members, and it was just amazing to me to see how good they were. They were just purely good kids. So anyway, I was impressed. I was really impressed, not having spent very much time with the youth personally, so.
Yeah, can we go with that? That was pretty good. No, I agree. When like Janae said on the women's poll, when we were like, wow, this is a lot harder than we thought. I really thought that my role on this trek was going to be to provide encouragement, to be a good cheerleader for the kids. And about halfway through that women's poll, I realized I need some encouragement. I need a cheerleader somewhere, and the kids they provided that, and so I was more than impressed.
I think one of the most special things that we witnessed with our TrekK family was the realization of what the pioneers actually went through, because we started out where we had so much excitement in the beginning, and our whole family wanted to be the first ones there, the first ones done. Mm-hmm. We were just stoked for life. And so, but we kept that throughout the TrekK experience. But what we realized is we came to moments such as the Mormon Battalion and the Women's Pole, mm-hmm. where we started to see that what the pioneers went through was really something special, and it wasn't just an easy task that they did. And so what we saw with our families, or our family, that they started to take a step back and say, maybe we should take a little bit more of a look at what they did and reflect more on what the pioneers actually went through. And it was a really special moment and special time, because what they did was stellar, and it meant a lot to all of us and allowed us to obviously be where we are today.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I agree. I think one of the biggest parts along that was during the women's poll in the Mormon Battalion, when our girls and boys were separated. I think they gained a lot of appreciation for each other, and I think it really unified our family together once we were able to come back together. The girls really appreciated the men, and I think the men really appreciated what the girls did. Once we started pulling through the sugar sand and everything, the guys were like, wow, these girls really did awesome. So
yes, they did.
Great job.
One of our boys had lost his shoes in one of the mud a mud hole as they did the Mormon battalion. And as he was walking, the second day his feet were hurting. And we kept suggesting to him, just sit on top of the cart, it'll be okay. And he kept telling us, well, I don't want to burden the other boys. And the other boys rallied around him and said, it's not going to be a burden, just we can pull you, it's not a big deal. And as he finally agreed to get on top of the cart, he's like, he kept apologizing, and the boys they didn't care. They said, it doesn't matter, you're just one person. We have a bunch of boys, we can pull anything, And as he got up there, they realized, because boys pack so light, we didn't have enough weight in the cart anyway to balance it, and he balanced it perfectly. And the boys realized it wasn't even a challenge to have him up there. And we ended up with a couple of boys on top at one time, and the boys pushed through and didn't complain one bit. And that was it's just neat to see how the youth gather around each other, and will lift up each other. They're there for each other, and they're not out there alone. They have friends that are the same age, going through the same trials and helping each other out.
One of the things that I really liked about our group was they were always singing, and I felt like that would pick up our spirits, hymns, singing hymns. And as soon as we would start to feel down, one of our boys would say, all right, we gotta sing, come on, I need to sing, we gotta sing, it'll keep us going. And as long as we were singing, we were going, and that really helped a lot. And I think it's so awesome, the TrekK. Just seeing how amazing the youth of the church are. They're just so strong, and they have such great testimonies. And it helped me, my testimonies, seeing them, and just hoping that my kids who are young will have as good of testimonies as the kids do now.
We were talking from the very beginning when we gathered as a family and started introducing one another and what they liked, what their hobbies are, and I remember praying for them specifically by each name, and it was a great experience for me. I felt the Spirit so strongly. When we were done, when I closed the prayer, I could see that it had an impact. It had an impact on them. That I would pray for them individually, and that as a ma and a pa, that we cared about them and we loved them. I think my wife will agree that from that very first day we just felt connected to them, and there was a love there for them. I've never experienced that in any other group setting where you just meet someone. It was a great blessing to feel that. It was a great blessing to just getting to meet these kids and to almost feel like we are a family. And as the days went on during TrekK, I loved our family. I loved these kids.
Their ability to be positive. There were moments of discouragement and moments of, I can't do this, or I can't believe my mom forced me to do this, or she didn't even tell me what I was doing, and I can't believe this is it. But then there were those moments of just pure being positive, or being grateful, or being able to have fun. Those were the moments of discouragement were few and far between compared to the moments of joyfulness and laughter and singing and joking and just being happy. And life is all about, holy cow, life is all about difficulties and challenges, but the ability to look beyond that and just be a happy people was a real testimony builder for me.
during the first day when the young men were called away, and the women were there to push and pull the carts. It was pretty much the hottest part of the day at that point, and we took off, and we had our paw with us, but we turned around, and the two carts behind us, neither one of them had their paws with them. I went to the cart behind us to help push that cart, and he stayed with our cart. And I was, I guess, pushing pretty hard and didn't realize that I couldn't go as strong as I thought I could go. And I started to give out, and I had a very scary moment where I couldn't catch my breath. It was very hot. At that point, I was thinking, I really cannot do this, and I didn't want to say anything to anyone. I looked ahead, and I could see our 4 girls on our cart, and they were just going. And they didn't have any help from anyone except they were by themselves. It was just them. I turned around and looked at the girls behind me, and they were just going forward also. And I started hearing the girls behind me sing. And hearing them sing and looking at our girls in the cart ahead of us, I realized, I can do this. As we went a little bit further, we looked up and we saw a couple of young men running towards us. They weren't walking, they were running. And when our girls realized that they were 2 of our boys and that they were running to us, they just started cheering and clapping and screaming, and the boys got up to the cart and they just put the cart down and wrapped their arms around their neck and just gave them a huge hug. And at that point, none of us had ever been so happy to see them as in that moment. And it was that was the real, I think, bonding moment for our little family.
It was a neat experience. We took advantage and shared that in one of our devotionals and discussed that, how in such a short time we united, and it was as if we were a family. It was awesome. It was really, really neat.
I think the attitude that our kids had, I had never been on TrekK before, so I didn't know what to expect going into this, but they're teenagers, and so I kind of figured that maybe some of them would complain or they didn't want to be there, their parents would force them, but all the kids we had were really great. They wanted to be there, they were positive, they sang songs during the hard times, and they just made it a lot easier on us, I think, because if we had kids that didn't want to be there, it would have been a different experience for us. But I think their attitudes helped us in the long run and made it a great experience for us too.
Yeah, we knew that they were in pain sometimes. They had taken care of blisters and whatnot, and you could see that they were tired, obviously, but they worked through it and realized the greater goal and that they needed to push in order to rest.
Yeah.
I think, but I was impressed by them, especially when it got really hot a few days. Some of those afternoons, they continued on and weren't passing out, weren't giving up. They weren't getting mad, or they kept a good spirit.
Our experience as a mom and pa, it was challenging and rewarding, and I don't know, I think it pushed us beyond limits that we knew we had. It was something that I had not planned on participating in. I don't like to rough it. But for his sake, I went because I knew he would enjoy it so much, and I was really glad I did because it's something that I think everybody should experience.
Yeah, I have the same sentiments. It was an experience I wanted to do as a couple, and I did co-opt her to join me, and which I was very happy for.
Something I could hold over his head for the rest of my life.
And she will. It was an amazing experience from my perspective personally. It allowed us to grow and do things which we haven't done in terms of being challenged physically together, outdoors, and handling youth together has its own unique set of challenges, especially when they're older and not your own. So yeah, it was just an amazing experience. There wasn't any void that was unfilled either by, you know, our testimony being strengthened and us being inspired on which way we should go in terms of how we should deal with one situation, one way or the other way. We meshed really well as a team, and I didn't anticipate that we would have any issues like that, but it was just amazing how those times where we thought were going to be even more challenging wasn't as challenging. And I think that was because of the spirit that we had there with us, and knowing that we had to fulfill this challenge together. Yeah, it was definitely a strength maker for us.
One of the things that TrekK meant to us was just seeing how the kids kind of came together. That even though I'm still convinced our boys do not believe that it was not a race, that they were really patient with one another when some of our kids were getting really tired and needed extra breaks. And you could tell that those that weren't tired wanted to go on further and wanted to push on, but they were very aware of the needs of the rest of our family. And that they didn't complain, even though there were lots of opportunities to complain, and they really looked out for each other. They were constantly asking each other how they were doing. If somebody was falling back, somebody would then drop back with Ma and make sure that they were doing okay, especially our boys looking after their sisters. And so for me, that was kind of one of the more interesting things to see, is even though a lot of these kids had only met a couple minutes before, they came together real quick and really did become a family.
Yeah, I loved seeing how they had just met us and they came together as a family and helped each other and encouraged each other.
One of the things that we had discussed was one of our favorite pivotal moments was the second day in the morning, I think it was.
Yeah.
We had a devotional that was run by Uncle Hefe, who and our whole goal was really to be one, like Zion United Unity, and we did that name chain where they each had to say something nice about each other, and I feel like there was a significant change at that moment where they started really loving and respecting each other more once they heard how others felt about them. You know, I think at first when we get with new people, we're always a little bit uncomfortable and awkward and don't really know what if they're judging me, what if they don't like me. So when they heard each other's genuine feedback about he's so great, she's so wonderful, and just their very good feedback, they all kind of got more comfortable and opened up, and I think that was really unifying. And then we saw that carry on throughout the rest of everyone really looked after each other.
One of our focuses was we wanted to have a unified group. You know, we wanted to make sure we all stayed together. We wanted to make sure that things were that we were one cohesive family, and I think that was a pivotal moment that really, we have ideas what people think of us, and we have, some people might have self-esteem issues, some people might have other things of what they might think, and it was great to have people at least share just one thing they thought about someone else, and I thought it was very. They were very heartfelt responses. They weren't just contrived things that they just thought up on the spot, but things that maybe that they wouldn't normally have shared.
And that was one of the things that I thought was so amazing about our kids, is that they were all really open, and really genuine and willing to get vulnerable, but really look out for each other.
We're starting on a journey
We're following the light. It's giving us direction, leading us through life. We'll follow where it leads us, wherever it may be, whether to a land of promise or through the stormy seas. No matter how far, we're not afraid. His love will light the way. So we will stand up, all together, raise our eyes up to the sky, with faith and love in our hearts. We will embark. We will give what we've been given, live our lives with faith, lift the those around us and help them on their way. We will live a life of meaning and cherish every step. So when we meet our maker, there's nothing to regret. No matter how far, we're not afraid, 'cause love will light the way. So we will stand up, all together, raise our eyes up to the sky, with faith and love in our hearts. We will embark. So we will stand up, all together, raise our eyes up to the sky, with faith and love in our hearts. We will the wind has changed direction. We're sailing towards the sun, knowing everything is gonna change. And no one can imagine the blessings that will come when we serve with all our might, mind, and strength. So we will stand up, all together, raise our eyes up to the sky, with faith and love in our hearts. We will embark. Yeah, we will stand up, all together, raise our eyes up to the sky, with faith and love in our hearts. We will embark. We will embark.